they're capable of a lot, and they know what we're capable of too. So I think it's just a really good New Jersey. It's going to be a really hard-nosed physical game. It's going to be a great game in New Jersey Friday night, and we're ready and we're excited.
What's going on, everyone? Neri Rodriguez here, and welcome to the Garden Statement State Semifinal Edition. There's one more week until neutral sites get popping, and bittersweet feeling. Bittersweet feeling. It's not our second to last show. We have plenty more ahead, but a little sad. And I don't want to say I'm proud because we still have a job to complete. But I do appreciate everyone that's been rocking with us every week here as we do the show. And it's been great to get some feedback. So hope to always make this better for you. But enough blubbering. We got some big games this week. Our friends in non-public have a great one lined up for us. St. Joe's Montvale, St. Peter's Prep, Bergen Catholic, Don Bosco movie. I wish there was two of me so I could be at both games, but physics, things like that. Great show planned for you. We're gonna break down each of these matchups as best as possible. We are gonna keep the interviews light. We do have my guy Steve Klein from Westwood stopping by ahead of their huge rematch with Shabazz. From last year's Group 2 semifinal. And, then we're going to, like I said, we're going to get into these breakdowns. I'll give you a little bit of my personal intake on these matters. But before we get rolling here, I just want to flash back to last Friday. I was at a great thriller between Bayonne and Bridgewater Raritan. Coming down to the wire, Declan Kurtula doing his thing, running the 2-minute drill, and he brings Bridgewater Raritan their first ever sectional title. Special stuff. And then full circle moment for me. I actually covered both of Declan's brothers. So I had this nice moment with them afterwards. And just a great family. Great family. I was extremely happy for him. All of them. And Bridgewater Raritan, all right, in a state semifinal matchup with PCTI that we'll get into, but great stuff. I'm very appreciative that I get to be there for moments like this, and those are my guys. Bridgewater Raritan, one of my first stomping grounds when I got started in this business. So shout out to the Panthers and Coach DJ. I was actually there at Big Central Media Day when he was, I guess, introduced to the public. So great to see his journey as well. All right, like I said, not too many interviews today. We are going to kick things off with my guy Steve Klein from Westwood, and let's see how the Cardinals are preparing for their big matchup against the Shabazz Bulldogs. All right, let's welcome in our next guest. He is the star receiver for Westwood. Let's welcome in Mr. Steve Klein. Welcome.
Sorry, man. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
For sure. We try to get all our, star guys throughout the season. I know it's a little late, but we appreciate you jumping on, and especially ahead of your big matchup. So, Westwood Cardinals back up in the mix. You're riding a 10-game win streak. Tell me, fill us in. What's been working for Westwood this year?
Yeah, everything's been going well for us, honestly. We do have that one loss, and then I think we've just been practicing really hard this year, and just really getting on all the guys. We're playing really good as a team right now, playing for the guys next to each other, and I think every Friday night, we should have something going on really special. Our coaches been coaching us really well this year, and we're again 10-game win streak, and we're feeling really good.
Yeah, and you guys are no stranger to success and being in this position. As we were just talking a little bit off camera, you guys
Mhm.
fell to Shabazz in the second round last year.
Yep, yep, yeah,
Yep. So you fall to Shabazz in the second round last year. And then we were also just talking about, a couple years back when you guys beat RFH in a straight
yeah.
thriller at
It's
Rutgers.
crazy. Yep.
Yeah, just talk about the championship pedigree and the expectations that Westwood football carries.
Yeah. So my freshman year, we won a section, and we lost to Caldo the year after, and like really just like great leadership from the seniors, man, like top to bottom. And then my sophomore year, that state championship run, the senior class was awesome. Just like really setting the standard for the younger guys. And, once it's your senior year, that's what you want to do. You know what the standard is. And, you kind of see it's a formula. So kind of just, like Westwood, just we've been winning a lot here for the past few years. And, we want to keep that going. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and listen, you guys are a public school, and you have a lot of the state keeping eyeballs on you. What does it just
Mhm.
mean that you're recognized as not one of the best public programs, but just one of the best programs in the state in general?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I think for all the guys and like the coaches as well. I think, Westwood, especially these past like 4 years, we've definitely been a powerhouse. Just really familiar with winning, and even in the past few decades ago, just a really winning program, and I think it means a lot. Like we really like I said earlier, like play for each other, man. You got the Cardinals on the front, and the home crowd. Westwood has a really good community regarding football, and I think, speaking for all the guys, we're just so proud to be playing for this town. And it just really means a lot to us, especially on those Friday nights.
Yeah, it's a special place. You're going up against Ramsey. Um, you know, what are I know it well, it's midway through the practice week, but
Mhm.
what's coach kind of preparing you guys for? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so, we know they have a lot of weapons. And, watching the tape, they got a lot of playmakers, and, so do we. We know what they're capable of. They're a very, very well coached team. They got some really explosive plays on offense, and, a really good defense. So I think it's a good matchup for us, and, we're really excited for the opportunity.
And just build off our last little chat. You're no stranger to playing in these big games. You have
Mhm.
experience, but senior year, what have you just enjoyed the most? And yeah,
Yeah.
just what's been working for you in your senior year?
Yeah, so I mean, like when you're like playing as a sophomore, like you got the mentality like play every game like it's your last. And then junior year, same thing. And then with your senior year, like it's your last year. So definitely been playing every game like it's my last. Giving it 110% every rep, even in practice, and then especially in the games because you never know when it's your last snap. So and when it's your senior year, you gotta give it your all. And I've been doing that and been harping on the other guys to just keep doing that. We got a great senior class here at Westwood, and we're just gonna keep doing our thing.
And for those who don't know, obviously you get a lot of the shine, but who are some of the supporting cast and your
Yeah,
teammates that been riding with you in 2025?
yeah. So we have two captains. The other captain is Charles Sarlo, 3-year starter for us, offensive guard and linebacker. He's been playing great. We got my brother Nick Klein's been playing really good. Junior Tyler Hansen, other DB Ed Raz, senior Connor Reedy. Got our D line's been loaded up with some sophomores, it's led by our senior Noah Perez. He's been doing a great job. And again, the O line's been doing great. Got senior Mark Minnis on there. So again, like I was saying earlier, in the years past, the older guys have done a great job of what the standard is. And then I think when it's these kids' time to play, they're ready to go. And coaches do a great job preparing us for that. So just really proud of our guys overall up to this point in the season.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
And another conversation we had off, before we got started here. You're committed to Boston College.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
You
you,
know
man.
what
Appreciate
was
that.
you, what was of course. Just talk about the recruiting journey and ultimately, what made you want to pick the Golden Eagles?
Yeah, so So my first offer was a camp offer from Syracuse. I went there, um, going into my junior year. It was June, and I had a really good camp. They offered me 2 days later, and then again, BC offered me mid-year my junior year, I think early
Sorry, my bad. I
October.
think we lost a little connection. Can you just I'm gonna
Oh yeah,
I'll re-ask
yeah,
you.
yeah.
So
No, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
so I know you had a couple offers, but ultimately, no, what made you roll with BC, Boston College?
Yeah, so it felt like a no-brainer for me, honestly. Like they offered me in the beginning of October, and then went on a game day visit, loved it. And then when the recruiting process started to heat up again in March, I took another visit there, and my family loved it. My mom was a really big fan because I went up there with her, and they really just like they wanted me there, and I felt like I had to go there. And their whole coaching staff, what Coach OB does up there is a great job, and it's just something I want to be a part of. I feel like I know that I'm a BC man, um, and yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to get up there and get to work and make an impact for those guys.
Yeah, and you're gonna definitely see some Jersey guys in that
Yeah,
ACC, especially
yes,
when
sir. Yeah,
you go you play Q's or they come to you.
yeah,
Was it just
yeah.
mean that yeah, you're gonna be next in line of just one of the latest Jersey guys to join the
It's
ACC?
crazy. Yeah, it really goes by fast. Like these 4 years have went by in a quick blink of an eye, and then playing ACC ball next year. Excited for the opportunity and excited to compete, and for sure.
And I believe they have some Jersey guys on that, on that team. My guy Enzo Arjona, I
Hmm.
believe he's a
Highland guy.
quarterback. Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did you meet any other Jersey guys while you're up there?
Nah, I met Judah from he's actually from Shabazz, so he
Yep.
was one of the when I took my OV there in June. He was one of the Jersey guys I met. So haven't met any other of them, but I'm excited to start building those connections with them, man, for sure.
Yeah, and you guys play a good schedule. You see a
Hmm.
lot of talent. I know
Yeah,
you're a North Jersey guy, so it's hard to not keep up with the big non-publics and things like that up there.
yeah,
What can you just say about New Jersey football and the talent and that we put so many guys at the next and even the farthest level?
yeah. New Jersey is one of the best football states. Like there's no doubt about it. And even public school ball, like there's so many good teams out there, so many good players that we see go play ACC Big Ten ball. And Jersey just produces so much talent. And like, even speaking with like some of the schools that recruited me, it's like, oh, you play for Jersey. Like colleges know that Jersey is tough and hard physical football. And uh, like players, like I know a lot of these guys are proud to play for Jersey and especially play for really good powerhouse schools in here in Jersey. So, it's a great way to represent them for sure.
That's awesome. I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
Steve, I want to keep you too much
Yeah,
longer.
man.
You know, what are you looking forward to most about Friday night, you know, in this matchup with Ramsey?
Yeah. So, we play Shabazz. It's Shabazz.
Shabazz, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Nah,
you good,
yeah, my
man. Yeah.
bad. I got it all confused. So
Yeah,
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 I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, no
We
problem.
gotta set up the get back.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um yeah, so rematch with Shabazz from
Mhm.
last year. You're looking for that get back, but
Yeah.
ultimately, you guys know what it takes to win a championship. So just take me through, I guess, before what you're looking forward to most, just I guess how you guys approach this week of practice and preparing for Shabazz.
Yeah, so like you said, it's another opportunity to play them. They ended our season last year, especially like being a junior coming back, that's just not a feeling you let go of. So we're excited for another chance to compete with them. They got some really good players over there watching the tape. Some really explosive plays, a very well coached team. They're capable of a lot, and they know what we're capable of too. So I think it's just a really good New Jersey. It's going to be a really hard nosed physical game. It's going to be a great game in New Jersey Friday night, and we're ready and we're excited.
What are you looking forward to most about it?
I would say, I would say playing defense. I mean, it's like again, like I said, they have a really good offense, so I'm excited to play some defense, make some big plays, and then running the ball too. Make some big plays I know, and do whatever I can to help the team win.
And Steve, last question. What does the rest of the state need to know about Westwood in their matchup against Shabazz this Friday?
Yeah, we're just, Westwood just hard-nosed downhill physical football. We just got that we have that 1-0 mentality. We, want to know every week. Don't look ahead. Win the rep, one practice one day at a time, and how it's been my past 4 years here, and it's been pretty good formula we got going on. So again, excited to compete Friday night.
Awesome. Well, Steve, best of luck this
Thank you,
Friday.
man. Appreciate it.
God bless and congratulations once again on your commitment. All right,
Thank
man.
you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me out here, man.
Yeah, for sure. Good luck.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, man. Thank you. Take
Yep.
care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. Always love hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. And we'll definitely be watching. All right. Without further ado, the moment you all came here for, let's break down some games this week. All right. Starting with our guys out in non-public. We're gonna start with St. Joe's Montvale, St. Peter's Prep. Now, both coming off dominant wins. St. Joe's taking down Del Barton 35-zip. St. Peter's Prep taking down St. Augustine 31-17. These two met earlier in the year in an absolute banger that saw Joe's coming away with a 1-point victory on the road. So the Marauders are looking for their get back. Listen, a lot, storylines, no shortage of them in this one. St. Joe's with not quarterback problems, just a little bit of adversity, folks. A little bit of adversity. Lamar Best not fully healthy this year, so we haven't gotten to see a complete game performance. A complete season's performance from him. Rather, Mason Geis also doing his thing. He was in under center. Well, technically, Lamar was under center when they beat Bergen, but Mason Geis, the driving force in that game, he balled out. Look, Prep back in the big game for the first time since 2021 when Rich Hansen, the second, was at the helm. And, 4 years, it seems like a long time that we haven't seen the Marauders this dominant. But, I did see them against their matchup against Shabazz, and granted it's a public school, but they were just very impressive, and Tyler Bell really doing his thing. So I'm excited that we do get to see a great quarterback matchup. Lamar Best has been getting his reps in, doing what he needs to do. So I am anticipating a great quarterback matchup in this one. Some of the keys for St. Joe's is they need their QB to be sharp. Their defense just needs to keep doing what they're doing. Like I said, the last time I saw them was against Bergen. They were able to, not only contain the running game with Najee Calhoun, but they were able to eliminate, aside from penalties, eliminate Bergen's passing game as well. I don't know Austin Busso's numbers from that game, but they were able to do a good job. Keeping him contained for the most part. Brian Porter's going to get his. He broke off a big one, and that's what special players do. They step up when the team needs them. But for St. Peter's Prep, one of the keys for them is definitely going to be to create turnovers. And both, like I said, both quarterbacks are really, really going to have to be playing their best one. And it's hard to say that because whoever wins this one, literally staring down the barrel on the other side. And if you're going to get Bergen or Bosco, listen, Joe's has been very, very impressive, and that's not to take away from St. Peter's. I'm just saying I was there when they went to OT with Bosco. They take Bergen down to the wire and then beat them in Oradell, which is very, very tough. St. Peter's Prep, like I said, one of their best years in a while. They look really good. They have some great athletes. The coaching staff has these kids gelled and playing really well. Tyler Bell, extremely bought in. He's the right dude for that job, leading this team. I am leaning a little bit more towards Joe's, and it's tough to beat a team twice. I just think their schedule, their gusto, all that stuff from this year will matriculate, and I think it's the key word there. They will take down Prep for a second straight year. So, but it's going to be close, and I say that respectfully because, like I said, Prep is a very, very good team. It's just somebody has to walk away the winner in this one. So I am going to give a little bit of that advantage to Joe's. And look, they got a tough task going on the road there. That is the only. That's where I'm hesitant. They got to go back to the scene of the crime. Can you beat a team twice in their own home? I don't know. Like I said, somebody has to win this one, but it's going to be really tough, and it could go either way. But if I had to give a pick, I'm going to lean a little bit towards Joe's. They're battle tested. They have big road wins, so we'll see what happens up at Caven Point. All right. The big one, the rivalry. Don Bosco, Bergen Catholic. Yes, the 4th seed Crusaders taking on the number 1 Ironmen. I was there for their last just straight brawl. I was going to say shootout, but I feel like that has negative connotations. Yes, the last one, just straight movie. That one saw Bosco winning 14-9. And, no shortage of theatrics. It came all the way down to the wire. Bergen in that matchup, they had chances, but penalties just, destroyed them late. 15-yard penalties when it's crunch time, always going to kill you. And then, listen, this was a huge statement win from Bosco. Arguably the biggest one in the state, next to when Joe's beat Bergen. If you've been living under a rock, Bergen in seeking a 5-peat this year. So, to kill all that noise, especially, Bosco earlier in the year, Bergen had, they had a couple out-of-state wins. Bosco started off the year with that big win out in Melissa, Texas, so they were ready for it. And listen, Bosco really wanted it, and they got the job done. So that's all it really comes down to. But Crusaders 8-2, Ironmen 10-0. They are the standard this year. And, just getting to a little bit of this breakdown, there's no way around it. It's the biggest rivalry in New Jersey high school football. It's a rematch of last year's state final at MetLife. And, yeah, I think Bosco got the ball rolling on, I wouldn't say exposing Bergen, but just kind of humanizing them a little bit. So they hand them their first loss all the way back in September. And since then, they have not relinquished that number 1 spot. Now, when it comes to Bergen, they did graduate a lot of pieces from last year. Quincy Porter, Dom Campanelli at quarterback, and, the list goes on. But luckily, they know how to recruit, bring players in, so they're reloaded. And, their sophomore quarterback, Trey Talaferri, impressive in his first varsity year. He had 5 touchdown passes last week, and they have arguably one of the best runners in the state in Najee Calhoun. I haven't seen too much. I haven't seen too much from Najee this year, so it's hard to get a gauge, but I still consider him one of the best running backs in the state. Any team will be glad to have him. And, Bergen's gonna lean on him when they really need it. And like I said, their passing game, it's nothing against them. They have a sophomore quarterback. They have some great receivers on the outside. It's just you're going up against a great team. So when you're in that transition phase and you're playing against one of the best, if not the best defenses in the state, things are gonna show. It's the same thing with Joe's. So, yeah. So for them, it's going to be really imperative that Trey and Najee are definitely going to be two of the offensive players they will lean on. Obviously, Jordan Thomas, Jermaine Kinsler are on the other side of the ball. The list goes on of all the studs Bergen has on defense, and let's face it, these last 4 championship years, the defense, even though there's these studs on the other side of the ball, they're the ones that have really held it down for BC, and it's the reason why they're 4-time reigning champs. So, the key to this one for Bergen will definitely be those 2 offensive guys, and on the other side, Bosco. Just like I said, it's going to be imperative that their defense keeps playing elite. We had a Kai, shout out to him, on the show weeks back when they did take down Bergen, and these guys are just, some of these guys are it's incredible. It's incredible the way Bosco has played this year. They have a lot of studs on defense, Phoenix Evans, and just the list goes on, and the coaching staff has done a really good job with them over the year. They're turnover machines. Really, and as well as on the other side, Bosco has their offensive guys as well. Dante DeLuca. They have a young quarterback who's been playing really well, and in Carson Schoen. So, look, at the end of the day, I could bore you with all these stats and personal anecdotes and things like that. The truth of the matter is, it's so hard to pick a winner in this game. I want to outright pick Bosco and say this is their year. They've been the number 1 all year long. They already took down Bergen. They're getting, the home field advantage in this one, something that they wanted. Parking situation will probably still be but that's a different conversation for a different day. I don't know how the state's 2 top teams have absolute horrendous parking, but somebody make it make sense. Somebody make it make sense. It's like the NJ.com site being down during the busiest time of the year, state playoff football. But getting back to it, so hard to pick an outright winner in this one. I think it's going to be a straight grind fest again. It's a 1-possession game. Could come down to a field goal, honestly. I could see this one coming down to like a missed extra point or just a made field goal. Bosco has experience with that this year when they took down Joe's on the road in overtime. I was there for that. So, to make a long story short, it's really tough to pick an outright winner in this one. I know Bergen has this one scheduled. Has had this one circled. Not many times you get the chance to get back in the exact same situation on the road versus your rival. And then as far as Bosco, it's the same thing. How many times do you get to defend your home turf against your arch rival, and then once and for all, at least for this season, put to bed that they are the number 1 team? Now, the road's not going to stop for them, especially if they grab Joe's in the next round, because best believe Joe's hasn't forgot about that overtime win. This is not, like I've said, this is not the most impressive Bergen Catholic team I have seen, and I say that respectfully because they've just produced a lot of great talent. Bosco might be a little bit more established than them, and I think I'm going to give them the advantage. This is so tough. Listen, at the beginning of the year, I gave everybody the Bergen treatment, and and what I mean by that is Like, Bergen has to be number one until somebody knocks them off. That was how I was approaching it. Don Bosco did that, and they rode the number one spot all year long. Now we're talking about pedigrees. Bergen is still the reigning champ, so they should be, they should be considered the top threat. In their last ones, Bergen's coming off a 56-14 win over St. Joseph Metuchen, and then on the other side, Bosco took down Seton Hall Prep 42-7. Now, both of those scores shouldn't come as a shock because that's what they should be doing. But all that other stuff really don't matter. It's all about who's going to line up this Friday night. Man, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to lean a little bit more. This is tough, guys. This is tough. Like, I'm not trying to give you a BS answer here because I'm going back and forth. But if I had to guess, the way Bosco has been playing this year, Coach Sabella, I think, has them locked in a different way from when I saw them last year. I'll give Bosco the same treatment. Until somebody knocks them off, they'll be number one. So I'll give a slight advantage to Don Bosco, but I would not be surprised if Bergen squeaks out a 1 to 3 point win in this one. Bosco. All right. And then as far as I'm moving around a little bit in my notes here. Our non-public B games now. Holy Spirit taking on reigning champs DePaul. These two met last year, I believe, because I did this game. I'm pretty sure this was last year, but some of the just to kind of give them a little backstory here. Holy Spirit took down Bergen Catholic in thrilling fashion. They won 34-27 to get here. And then DePaul took down SJV St. John Vianney 35-14. Holy Spirit's win was crazy because they won on a 91-yard engineered drive by quarterback Ty Costable. And, DePaul does what they do. They're back in their annual state semifinal game. Coach Campanelli, one of the best in the biz. Hope to see him over at MetLife. But let's get into the quick breakdown of this one. Look, even though DePaul has been here, they can't overlook the lower seed. This hasn't been their most bang-up year. They did lose to Delby on the road. Can't win them all, but, that one definitely raised some eyebrows. And, I know Coach Camp, I wouldn't say he's not happy with the results of this team, but, I think he definitely feels a little bit more of that fire. And, like I said, they didn't have the cast they did last year with Dez and Elijah Burris on the outside, but they're still making things happen. And shout out to Holy Spirit getting here again. Nothing, not to take anything away from them, but the keys to this game is going to be DePaul. Can't overlook Holy Spirit, especially if they're coming off. They're an emotional big win on the road themselves. So. DePaul's definitely gonna need their talent, their big time talent to step up in this one. And then for Holy Spirit, they're peaking at the right time. They need their QB to continue doing what he's been doing, and they rode Costable in the last game. They're gonna need him here on the road. Can Holy Spirit outmatch DePaul, which has been one of New Jersey's non-public powers for dating back even before Coach Camp was head coach? I don't think so. It's gonna be Holy Spirit's toughest task all year long. I think, having met DePaul in this game before, gives a little bit of hope, but I expect DePaul to take care of business, make it back to MetLife. And like I said, I think they're going to rely on their star power and their previous experience in this game, and they'll bunker down and do what they do to. I can't imagine the Spartans not punching their ticket to MetLife. On the other side of this matchup, an intriguing rematch from earlier in the year. Number 2 Paramus Catholic hosting number 3 Red Bank Catholic. Now, these two met earlier in the year with Paramus Catholic getting a huge home win against RBC. The records don't tell the whole story in this one. The Paladins 5-6 compared to the Caseys being 11-1. Now Paramus Catholic, I'm just going to straight up say, has played harder competition. All right, when you're facing off with Bergen and all these big non-publics up north, you're gonna play better than some of these public school programs that RBC had laced throughout their schedule, and that's not a shot at them. You got to play who's in front of you. And I think short conference, we got to ramp up our non-public football here. And Red Bank Catholic with 2 stud freshmen. Shout out to my guy Gabe Kemp, who's just been lighting it up and just has come across it feels like box score discussion about best running back in the state, and his future looks promising. So shout out to that young man. Listen, RBC wants their get back. They want to go back to MetLife. They falling to their annual meeting with DePaul feels like it's a guaranteed non-public B final over there. But evaluating their last games, RBC taking down Hudson Catholic 41-0, and then PC defeating Immaculata 63-31. So these guys nice and warm. And ready to put up some more points on the board. And like I said, Paramus Catholic taking down RBC earlier in the year shocked a lot of people, to be honest with you. Yes, it is shocking because Red Bank Catholic was undefeated at that point. It's their only loss. But like I said, PC plays a tougher schedule in my opinion, so it really wasn't that shocking when I saw that result. But look, the breakdown in this one is the Caseys are on a mission to avenge their only loss from this year. They have to stay disciplined and keep an eye on those turnovers because, like I said, Paramus Catholic, don't let their record fool you. All right, they've played some great teams, so they know how important turnovers are and capitalizing on them. Coach Greg Russo, who does a good job, has great buy-in from this team this year, and like I said, it's been an ongoing process for him coming from Northern Highlands to transition and revamp that winning culture over at PC. So, listen, the Paladins are hitting their stride right now. I'm probably gonna butcher his name, but they put up 63 points last week behind Chukwuma Odu, and I thought they will be successful in this game if they can establish that run against RBC. So, listen, you could have all the breakdown and things like that, but this is really going to come down to who makes one less mistake and just capitalizes on their possessions. I expect the clock to play a big factor in this one. I could see PC, if they score first or go up by 2 scores first, is really going to milk that clock, and then the fourth quarter is going to be really where we see the meat of this matchup and what they're made of. Listen, this is a get-back game for Red Bank Catholic. I can't imagine not seeing them in the final. I do think this is going to be probably their toughest matchup that they've seen in this game in the state semifinal in some time. So, listen, I hate to go against a shore conference team. They could very well prove me wrong. I think Paramus Catholic is going to shock some folks and make it to this game, similar to how Pope John did last year. And then, we'll get it cracking at MetLife Stadium. But those are my long-winded, non-public game breakdowns for this weekend. All right, moving along here. Moving the schedule around a little bit here. We are going to get to let's start out with Group 1. All right, let's start off with Group 1. And for the North battle, we have Butler taking on Cedar Grove. Cedar Grove, no stranger to state semifinal and state final experience. Butler coming off a big 28-14 win over Kinlan. Cedar Grove taking down New Prov, handed the Pioneers their only loss of the year in a 37-13 win. So the key for this matchup is Butler's a consistent small school winner, as is Cedar Grove. They're tough, they're balanced, and they have a QB that knows how to extend plays, and that's a big reason why they were able to bring home hardware last week. And then as far as Cedar Grove goes, they graduated quarterback Steven Paradiso last year, who I've personally seen throw over 60 times in a game. So, they're right back in the mix. So the Panthers must be doing something wrong. Something right. And it's the same. It's the same as one of the you're going to hear me say this. It's all about turnovers and making good on your possessions. So I think the team that runs the ball more efficiently, eats up clock, and turns the ball over less will be successful. And if I had to guess, I haven't seen either one of these teams, but just going off the box scores and things like that, I see Cedar Grove winning this one. And I don't know, these neutral sites I can never keep up with, but they'll be punching their ticket to either Rutgers or MetLife. So, and then on the other side, the other Group 1 matchup, shout out to Coach Tim Breaker of Glassboro, who we had on the show last week. Coach Breaker bringing home another sectional title, but he's looking for that repeat of the state title. And Glassboro taking on Burlington City, two of the best teams in Group 1 this year. Obviously, that's why they're linking up. Burlington City took down Shore Regional 28-20 to get here. As for Glassboro, a little more decisive as they took down Shalleck 47-14. Look, Burlington City has fought all year long, and they have a dynamic playmaker at quarterback. Glassboro just has too much star power. The Saab brothers, and then they just have a solid QB, and their defense. We like to focus a lot on the Glassboro offense, but the defense is great. And they haven't had many close matchups this year, so they definitely know how to score. I'm just gonna be honest here. I would be honestly shocked, and this would be the upset of the year if Glassboro didn't walk away with this one. So I see my guy, Coach Breaker, getting back to another final, Group 1 final. Hopefully it's at MetLife. I love seeing teams under those big lights. The turf, a whole nother story. But I think it'll be, I think it will be Glassboro going back, and we see back-to-back Group 1 champ from Coach Breaker. Moving along to the Group 2 games, as we had Steve Klein on, Westwood is taking on Shabazz in a rematch of last year's semifinal matchup. Westwood taking down Ramsey 32-6 to get here. And for Shabazz, they came back and defeated Madison 26-16. I was keeping up with that while I was over Bridgewater. The storylines, like you heard previous, Westwood 11-1. Their only loss was to Caldwell. They got that done. They are led by Boston College commit Steve Klein, who is just an absolute baller at running back, receiver, wherever they want to put him. He's killing it. And then Shabazz always has some great athletic talent, but they'll just kill you in terms of numbers. They have so many guys that are quick. They're opportunistic, and listen, they know how to get a big play when they need it. So and like I said, shout out to them. Big comeback win for them. It's one of the key things that I circled in this matchup is going to be Westwood's offensive line versus Shabazz's speed. Can Westwood's line create space for Steve Klein and company? And then, can Shabazz also contain and control the edge? So, I think Shabazz is very impressive. I saw them only once, and it was in a beatdown to St. Peter's Prep. And I mean, I say that respectfully. You're taking on a non-public team that is literally in the mix to be crowned the number one team in New Jersey. So, I say that respectfully. I think Westwood has this one circled just like they did with Caldwell. So I'm expecting the Cardinals to take care of business here. And I think we're going to get treated to an absolute classic in this North Group 2 matchup. On the other side, Camden, Haddonfield, a great storied South Jersey. I wouldn't say rivalry, but just matchup in general. Camden taking down Wall 43-7. Jeez. My guy Ibn Muhammad and company, led by Coach Rob Hinson, getting it done and leaving no doubt. And then as for Haddonfield, they took down a good Delran team, 28-7. Now, I have not seen either one of these teams in person this year, so I won't hold you. But Camden is a dominant elite program. They have a couple D1 guys. As I mentioned, Ibn Muhammad has been, just absolute terror at linebacker for them. And then, Haddonfield, also a team that is strong in numbers. They have experience in these games. They're disciplined, and they still have success running that wing T offense. So if they don't beat themselves and play Haddonfield football and stay disciplined, there's no reason they shouldn't walk away with the win in this one. Like I said, Camden, I think, has the talent, and I don't want to say Haddonfield has the coaching because Coach Hinson does a great job. I just think that Haddonfield minimalizes their mistakes, so I would not be surprised if I see a Bulldogs win in this one. All right, moving along. That was our Group 2 games. Where is my group? Here we go. My Group 3. Old Japan versus West Morris Central. Grind fest. Both of these teams no stranger to bringing home titles. It's only fitting that they are literally one of the last stops for each team. Now, the Golden Knights having an incredible season, 11-0 right now. The reigning champs looking like reigning champs. As far as West Morris Central doing what they do, quietly controlling the state with a dominant run game. They always find these running backs that just know how to work the clock and just literally control the matchup for Coach Henley. So the key for Old Japan in this one will be stopping that wing T run game from West Morris, as I was just describing. I know Old Japan can put up numbers. I think this one will be more reliant on their defense. Like I said, both of these teams not these teams haven't had a lot of close matchups this year. So I think even though West Morris usually is a tough out, I think this one is old Japan's game to lose. So, I am leaning more towards the Golden Knights in this one, and I think they punch their ticket. And then on the other side, we have Homedale, Cedar Creek, Jack Cannon and company bringing Homedale its first sectional title. They relinquish Rumson Fairhaven's stronghold on group, I guess of the Shore Conference. Homedale was definitely the team to beat this year, I believe, in the Shore Conference. I think start of the year didn't look like that, but like I said, hard to deny the great things that Jack Cannon and company have done for the Hornets this year. Now, like I said, Homedale has emerged as was the premier team in the Shore Conference this year next to Red Bank Catholic. And then the Pirates, always in the playoff mix. They've had some tremendous talent come out of there. They just won a 34-28 thriller over, three-time defending champ Mainland. So they're definitely feeling themselves. I think they're not I wouldn't say they're taking on an easier opponent because, like I said, this is still a sectional title winner. But Cedar Creek, their schedule is loaded from top to bottom every year. So I think this is going to be a matter of strength of schedule. And, I don't see a reason why Pirates don't get it done on the road. All right, moving along. Let's go to Group 4 and... wow, if you're a fan of traditional New Jersey high school football, Ramapo, Phillipsburg. Ramapo surviving, escaping. A 28-27 thriller in overtime against rival Northern Highlands. All right, one of the best games every time they link up, and it's no surprise that it was an overtime 1-point victory for them. As far as Phillipsburg, they like I've reiterated, this is a young state liner team, but damn it if they don't play some hard-hitting defense. Coach Duffy, it's tradition. It's baked into them, dig, all that stuff. But I just don't I don't get how he gets these guys to play so hard like they're 4-year starters, and some of them are sophomores. And Sam Deck has emerged as one of the best running backs this year. Maybe he gets lost among some of these big names, but give my guy Deck his due. He's been doing it. So storyline for Ramapo in this one, they are the North 1. They're the reigning North 1 champs for a reason. Quarterback Casey Grusser and running back Liam Hayward have been their go-to offensive playmakers all year long. And then, like I said, as far as for Phillipsburg, along with their hard-hitting defense, players like Sam Deck have really just taken on that role of just many great state liner running backs that have always gotten it done for them. Turnovers are going to be key in this game. Who makes fewer of them? I think Ramapo has the advantage, just being a little more experienced in these games. Not to say Phillipsburg doesn't have experience in state title games. Listen, they have more wins than any program in state history. So this is going to be a tough one. I think Peaburg, having lost a bunch of playoff games in recent memory at home, can't let this one slip away. It's a tough and great environment to play in. I give Ramapo some serious props if they get this one done. I do think their wins over Northern Highlands are very impressive. It's tough to go against either one of these teams. but I would not be surprised if Ramapo guts out a close, if not overtime win over Phillipsburg. I just think maybe their younger crew might not be enough to keep up with the Raiders when it's all said and done. So you're making me go with Ramapo. So yeah, I think that's going to be a great game though. So shout out to whoever gets it done. And then let's go to the Group 5s. Our big guys, PCTI, avenging their loss to West Orange last week. Shout out to Farrah Green Jr. I think he had like 6 touchdowns. And PCTI, they got knocked out. They got knocked out last year. So they're back. They're glad to be in a position to make it to get another overall Group 5 championship matchup. And the Bulldogs, their story is they're just on a tear. They're a scoring machine this year. They 56 points against a good West Orange team. Like that's insane. They have a great running back, dual threat quarterback, and then on the other side, they're taking on Bridgewater Raritan. That's where I was. They were against a very talented Bayonne team. They were able to sort of get a hold on running back Chance Fisher. I know he had a couple scores, including that big one, but being at the game for the most part, without those 2 scoring plays, they did a good job of controlling Bayonne and shutting down Fisher. And their whole thing is they came up with some good stops and they were able to control the clock against Bayonne. So listen, if their defense can create stops, this will be a tough one. This will be a grind fest. Like I said, the Panthers are at home. They're feeling themselves. PCTI is just a different type of animal. And I know you don't want to hold on to, their victories of the past, but I think their playoff experience is going to be huge in this one. And yeah, I would not be surprised if their dominant offense just overwhelms Bridgewater. I mean, yeah, they did. That was an impressive win over Bayonne, but PCTI is going to be a different animal for them. So how about PCTI making it back to a Group 5 final, and with no Toms River North, Bulldogs could be favored. But on the other side, there's some guys from the South that have something to say about that. Washington Township, Kingsway. Now, I'm going to straight up just say Kingsway taking down Atlantic City last week was very, very impressive. I thought it was going to be a close matchup, but Kingsway was like, nope. They just completely took the Vikings out early. They win that one 38-21. And then Washington Township, I gave Old Bridge hope. They took down a very good Sayreville team, but Washington Township also just not having a 38-7 beatdown. I like the fact that both of these teams scored 38 points. I like the consistency, but the Minutemen are 12-0. They've put together some impressive wins. Like I said, I saw them against Rancocas Valley. This is when quarterback Savion Adams, literally, it was his first game back, and he was a shell of himself. He could barely bend down, fumble. I feel like any other, I feel like those are easy plays for him to make. So definitely at a disadvantage. He wasn't 100%, but that's no excuse. They took down RV twice this year. And then, like I said, they took care of business against a one-loss Old Bridge team that had arguably the best quarterback in the state in Brody Nugent. As far as Washington Township, they have a lot of great talent, and they'll kill you in numbers. Quarterback Cole Aquino, he's great, and then they have some stud running back talent in Andrew Osborne and Colin Beeler. They both showed out in that matchup against RV. And then as far as Kingsway I have not seen any of. So I'm going solely based off of just tape and box scores. So, but listen, they're a dark horse. All right, they have two upsets on the road this year. So they're dangerous. They forced 5 turnovers last week. And you can look out for running back Cole DeNick, 167 rushing yards before he was injured. We'll see if he returns, but Washington. This is a rivalry matchup. Washington Township already won earlier, and What's going to come down to this one is the line of scrimmage. All right, D-line versus O-line. I love it. Washington Township. I don't see them getting upset in this one. Unfortunately, I think Kingsway is having a great season, but hard to go against the Minutemen. And, I think they punched their ticket to a neutral site as well. Well, that's going to do it for our breakdowns. And that's going to do it for our show. Appreciate you stopping by. We are not done. We will see what happens with state championships next weekend. We will have some type of coverage for you. But listen, when you disrupt things and you try to make your own path and do something different, people are always going to feel threatened. So that's the only way they could stop us, is to try to keep us out of these venues. But listen, we always overcome and we always bring you great products. So that's what I'm looking forward to most this weekend, is continuing to bring you guys some great content, stories, and just listen. I love the hype, so I always want to give you that. But let us know in the comments how we did this episode, what matchup you're looking forward to most, and give us a prediction. As always, I'm going to give you my spiel. Be safe out there this weekend. Represent your community, team, and family well. And let me know what you thought about these breakdowns. And like I said, where you're going and some of your predictions. All right, everybody. I will see you back here for not for our last show of the season, but just, I guess, the somewhat finale. I don't know. I've been talking for a while, but take care. Enjoy the games this weekend. I'm Neri Rodriguez, and this is the Garden Statement.